Nearly every time Hunter has had a hearing, dozens of protesters have followed, calling the six-term congressman from Alpine a thief. But two former U.S. attorneys say it's not so easy to determine what's illegal when it comes to campaign finance.
A lot of this is gray. I mean, where does the political line end and the personal line begin?
Factually, it can be a little bit blurry.
Prosecutors say Hunter and his wife spent campaign cash on family vacations, groceries, and golf trips. Carol Lamb is former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of California.
It does appear to be a fairly strong case. That's a different question of, is it a slam dunk in terms of a criminal trial? And I think most experienced prosecutors would always be hesitant to say that any trial is a slam dunk, particularly a white-collar type of case.
Chuck LaBella is also a former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of California and says perception of these cases does not always match reality.
The government is aware of these hurdles, and the defense is, but I don't think the general public is aware that how difficult these cases can be when they're purely personal versus political funds being used.
I paid it back. I announced it prior to the election. And I'm not going to make excuses for it.
When you have somebody who's been a campaign donor for you for years, and they are a fundraiser for you, and maybe you're not running for election, but you're going to go back to this person, and you know in your political career you're going to go back to this person, so you take them for a golf game, you take them for dinner. Well, isn't that cultivating a source? I mean, I think the defense is going to argue that's cultivating a source. And remember, campaign financing is not tax money. It's people who gave money to the congressman to promote himself.
In June, Hunter's wife took a deal from the government.
Ms. Hunter, have you had a chance to talk to your husband?
She pleaded guilty to conspiring with the congressman to misuse campaign funds. It's easy to see how that might strengthen the case against him.
The value of a cooperating defendant or a cooperating witness is they were on the inside, and so they sort of color in the picture for the jurors.
When you put a spouse on the stand, when you put mistresses on the stand, it's a jump ball for both sides. You don't know what's going to come out of the witness's mouth. When you put those kind of witnesses on the stand, they're explosive, potentially explosive.
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Hunter has argued he will not get a fair trial in San Diego. He says negative media attention will sway jurors.
I've had some very high-profile cases that were on the front pages of our local papers for months. And when we brought the jurors, potential jurors, into the courtroom and asked how many of them had ever heard of the case or the allegations, we would only have a handful of people raise their hands.
LaBella sees things differently.
The people who are reading this or hearing it on TV are prospective jurors. And so there's a real chance here that it's going to be difficult to pick a jury.
The case is scheduled to go to trial in January. That gives Hunter plenty of time to take a deal.
When the evidence seems to be very strong, there's usually maybe an approach by the defense saying, well, he believes in his innocence, but what would you offer if he was willing to resolve the case?
I've done nothing wrong and haven't, and they've known that for 2 years.
But Hunter says he's a victim of a witch hunt and is ready to fight.
There's a trial. This means nothing. And the indictment is all they have. They only have what you've now seen. That's it. I've done nothing wrong, and I say bring the trial now.
I don't see these parties coming together and striking a deal because I think they're just so at odds with each other.
If the case does go to trial, will Hunter himself take the witness stand? Lamb says it's a tough choice.
If a defendant takes the witness stand and denies the allegations and then is found guilty anyway, that's probably going to hurt the defendant at the time of sentencing.
Both Lamb and LaBella agree a decision to testify will likely come after the government finishes presenting its case.
If the defense believes that the government hasn't come close to proving its case, I think the chances of Congressman Hunter testifying are slim.
Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Have a good day.